Hey, it's me, Eric. I'm out in my garden today. It's July 1st, 2025, and I am about to harvest the flax that I planted in the fall. It's not a lot of flax. It's a row about, 4 or 5 feet long, and today's the day. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to do this while holding a microphone. I'm going to pull each flax plant out by its root and make sure I get the root. I learned this from Heidi Barr at a flax harvesting event a couple years ago. So there we go. And the idea is to then bundle it up, all going in the same direction. And then I'm going to try to red it. And I'm going to try to make something out of it. I'm flinging dirt everywhere. All right. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about flax. A couple of weeks ago, I went to a flax flower picnic, not far from where I am now, over there in South Coventry Township. The PA Flax Project has about 7 acres of flax planted there. And with the other flax that they've got planted around southeastern Pennsylvania, they've got about 30 acres. That's more flax that's been planted in Pennsylvania in a very long time. And when it's harvested, they're going to harvest it mechanically, making it the first mechanically harvested flax in Pennsylvania ever. Because the last time they grew flax here, there wasn't any mechanical harvesting options. So that's pretty cool. So what we're going to hear on today's show, we're going to hear a bunch of interviews from that flax picnic a couple weeks ago. We'll hear from Heidi Barr and Emma DeLong from the PA Flax Project, as well as a whole cast of other characters who were in attendance there. And we're going to shine a light on Pennsylvania flax today. And then after we talk flax, we're going to check in with David Suchoff from NC State in North Carolina and find out what he's got in store for us at the NIHC Global Fiber Hemp Summit. It's coming up in Raleigh in 2 weeks. So all that and more on today's show. And now I'm going to get back to my flax harvesting here. This episode is brought to you in part with support from IND Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana, where they support farm families and rural communities by producing and supplying the natural materials to make products and industry more sustainable while regenerating the earth with agriculture. They call it the goodness of hemp. Learn more at indhemp.com. And while we're at it, let's give a shout out to our friends up there at Forever Green, distributors of the KP4 hemp cutter. Learn more at hempcutter.com. Okay, welcome back. So here we are. It's the beginning of July. And you know what? I have decided a few things. I have decided that July here on the Hemp Show is Fiber Month. Right? That allows me to talk about fibers of all kinds. So today we're talking about flax as well as hemp. So, all right, that's the first thing I've decided. The second thing I have decided, and this is, I'm sort of making this a proclamation. I declare that July is Flax Month in Pennsylvania. All right, this is a year that we get to celebrate flax for the first time in a bigger way, as we will hear from these upcoming interviews. All right, and the third thing, I have decided that July is also Lyme Disease Awareness Month. Actually, that's in May, but July, just watch out for those target rashes. Don't let yourself become a target. All right, moving on. So what we're going to hear coming up in this segment are my interviews from the Flax Flower Picnic that took place Saturday, June 14th, on a lovely farm in South Coventry Township, Chester County, Pennsylvania. The event was hosted by the PA Flax Project and was sponsored by F. Schumacher and Company, a New York-based family-owned textile and interior design powerhouse. We'll learn more about them coming up. So in order of appearance on the show today, we're going to hear from Emma DeLong and Heidi Barr from the PA Flax Project. Then Natalie Horvath, she's a design director at Schumacher. We'll hear from Bill Schick, he's the director of agriculture for the PA Flax Project. Then Mike Roth from the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. Then we'll hear from a friend of the PA Flax Project, Rachel Laramie. Then we talk to Leslie Davis from the Pennsylvania Fiber Shed. And then finally, we end our flax picnic with Paul Turner. He's the chair of the Department of Theater and Dance at Rowan University. I loved talking to these people. I learned so much about the PA Flax Project and just like the interest that is growing around flax and other natural fibers. And then after the flax conversation, we're going to talk to David Suchoff from NC State about the Fiber Summit coming up in Raleigh real soon. All right, you ready? Here we go. Here I'm standing next to a 7-acre field of flax in South Coventry Township, Pennsylvania, with farmer Emma DeLong. Hello, Emma.
Hi, Eric. Thanks for coming out today.
Yeah, so what's going on here?
Yeah, so we are having a picnic next to a flowering fiber flax field. Like you said, about 7 acres. And we have a bunch of folks interested in linen today.
Yeah, when you were talking earlier, you said that when this is harvested in a few weeks or a month or so, it'll be the first mechanically harvested flax crop possibly ever in the northeastern part of the United States. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, as far as I have been able to research, this is true. When flax became no more in the United States, thanks to cotton and free labor and synthetics, the linen industry was destroyed. And since then, it has mechanized in other parts of the world. So now that we are having a resurgence of growing fiber flax and bringing this industry back, we have imported equipment from Belgium, and we're ready to rock and roll.
That's cool. And the idea, too, is that you're going to eventually have a mill, a scutching mill. Can you talk about what a scutching mill is?
Yeah, so scutching is part of the process in extracting fiber from the flax plant. There's several steps and several products that come out of a processing mill, which is also a scutching mill. The mill is typically where most of the money is made from linen production. So it's always been our goal with the Flax Project to have this be a worker-owned cooperative mill so that farmers can realize a profit outside of the field and throughout the process.
This is a big deal for farmers in Pennsylvania. Why is that?
Yeah, I mean, Pennsylvania is a big agricultural state. There's a lot of row crops grown here, and flax seamlessly ties into rotation and a lot of grain and legume and hay rotations. So it's a very fast crop. It has a high value on the international market, and it's kind of an easy grab for farmers now that we have the equipment to make it harvestable.
Can you talk about like the timing that this crop sort of shows up right now when we really need, circular local supply chains and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, it is a really interesting time, and there's a lot of newfound interest in natural fibers and making a shift from our exploitative textile industry into one that's more climate smart and environmentally conscious. So the fact that linen is produced from an agricultural crop that requires no chemicals, very little inputs, very little water usage, it's a very desirable crop for those interested in healing the planet.
Does the marijuana stigma matter here at all?
Great question, Eric.
Emma DeLong, thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Heidi Barr, hello again.
Hi.
Can you tell me what's happening here? What are you standing next to?
Yeah, I'm standing next to almost 7 acres of flax for linen. that we planted this year with the Pennsylvania Flax Project. It's our biggest field yet.
Can you just describe it? Can we look at it and you tell me, talk about the color, talk about the texture, talk about any of it?
The flax is a beautiful plant. It appears to be very delicate, but it's very strong. And it right now is just moving gently in the breeze, and the bluish purple flowers are at the top of the bright green stems, and it really looks a lot like water to me. It's very soothing that way and very inviting.
When was the first time you started working with flax and linen?
I started working with linen in 2018 as a cut and sew person. So I was making a line of home goods with linen fabric and fell in love with it as a textile. And then I started working with the flax plant in 2020, shortly after I met Emma. And she and I talked about how flax is an agricultural commodity and a beautiful, sustainable textile. And she said the magic words, "I have 1/8 of an acre getting ready to go into cover crop on the farm. Let's plant some flax for linen and see what happens." And so we started working with the flax plant.
That crop then, has that turned into something?
Oh, you mean materially?
Did you harvest and make that into something?
We did harvest it, and we hand processed a lot of it. And I don't know if that exact crop turned into something, but over the years, as we've met more people in the handwork space with spinners and weavers, one of our early volunteers, Roan Farnham, spun our linen and wove a very small piece. It's probably 6 by 8 inches that he also hand dyed all the pieces in our brand colors now. And so we have our first tiny piece of Pennsylvania flax.
That's cool. I think I met him at the harvest event. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, you met him there. He's fantastic.
So you start with 1/8 of an acre, and now this year you've got, 30 acres in Pennsylvania?
30 acres, yeah.
That's amazing. So the PA Flax Project, you're going to build a scutching mill. Talk about this scutching mill and why that's important and why we don't already have one.
So not only do we not have one, but in North America today, there's no commercial scale processing of flax from field to fiber. And actually, you could even back up to where we don't even have the infrastructure to harvest. This year, we have our harvesting equipment, so we can harvest at scale. But there's still no mill. And the scutching mill is what would process the plant once it leaves the field into spinnable fiber and co-products. And there isn't any because in this region, it would be because flax for linen really lost the economic race in the Industrial Revolution with the early advent of the cotton gin and the subsidy of the cotton industry by the labor of enslaved people. Cotton became cheap. And so it out-competed most natural textiles.
Like you didn't have to make your own clothes because they were cheaper to buy at the store.
Yeah, they were cheaper to buy at the store. You could just get cheap cotton yardage. Why would you work? You have to work very hard when you're hand processing this.
It takes a year to grow a shirt or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. So I heard you mention that you were sort of starting the process of finding where the mill is going to be.
I'm not sure yet. We're looking at 2 or 3 possible locations that are all in southeastern Pennsylvania, but we're not sure exactly where yet.
Okay. Can you talk about the support you have gotten or maybe haven't gotten from any of the state, the Department of Agriculture or Economic Development, or are they psyched about what you're doing?
Yeah, Pennsylvania's Department of Agriculture has been really supportive and, huge advocates for us. We advocated for and they added fiber flax to Pennsylvania's specialty crop list, which made us eligible for a specialty crop block grant, which we received. And we are, working with them to identify funding sources going forward to help with the mill development. And we're in conversation with the economic development folks about the mill location and job force development, et cetera. So I have nothing but great things to say about that. Yeah.
All right, cool. And I think Flax received an innovation grant last year for some kind of planting equipment that you're working with Steve Groff on. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So we supported Steve Groff in an application to make adjustments to a planter so that we could plant both flax and hemp at a 4-inch row spacing, which is narrower row spacing than any existing drills in North America have, but it's the standard for planting in Europe.
Right, because when you plant fiber crops closer together, you get a thinner, taller, more usable fiber, right?
Yeah, you get more consistency in your stem diameter, a thinner, taller fiber, and you also have a better chance at outcompeting weeds.
All right, final question. Does the marijuana stigma matter?
No, not to me.
Heidi Barr, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Natalie, could you introduce yourself for me?
I'm Natalie Horvath, and I'm the design director at Schumacher.
And could you tell us what Schumacher is?
Yes. So Schumacher, we are a wall covering, fabric, and trim editor. We sell to the interior design industry, to the trade, and we've been in the U.S. now since 1889. Our founder came over from France.
So not a new company.
Not a new company at all. We are a family-run company. We are still family-run all these years later, and we're very proud of it. And yes, it's been here for over 130 years.
And that's amazing because back then, flax was a common fiber in use in textiles in America, but now it's not. It's coming back. So explain to me why you're here and why this is important.
Yes. So this is, I think, a very important initiative for us. We are importing a lot of flax from overseas, and you kind of wonder, well, what happened to the industry that was here, and what can be done. When I came across the PA Flax lot, it was sort of kismet. It was like, well, we're looking for linen everywhere. Belgium had a bad crop a few years ago that really affected our business. And we were like, well, what does it look like to have flax grown somewhere else? So I happened to come across PA Flax, and I thought, well, why not reach out to Heidi and see what she's working on? It could be an interesting opportunity to invest and explore the possibilities of having U.S. product.
Yeah, let's linger on that sort of like circular local supply chains. What would that matter to your company? Talk about that.
Yeah, of course. So, that would cut down heavily on, freight charges, for one. We spend a lot of money bringing things over from Europe on planes and boats. So it would, for one, decrease travel time. It would decrease fuel used to bring it over here. It would make for a more sustainable product. We could stand behind something that's made in the U.S. We really care about U.S.-made product. We have our own mill in Passaic, New Jersey, where we really try to keep things made in the USA. And we've lost a few vendors over the years because the industry has just slowly been dwindling here. That it would be nice to bring the industry back and really, show its vibrancy. We have so many customers here who are buying our product. Why can't it be made in the U.S.?
You said you're a designer.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what it's like to work with flax as a fiber?
Yeah, so flax, it's an amazing fiber. It's hard wearing. The Martindale and Weizenbeek, which our customers really care about, are typically very high on flax product because of the long fiber. And we mostly print on it, though we also sell it as planes, shears. It's really a versatile product. You can make a lot of different things out of it. And I think the look of it is like really what draws our customer to it. The subtle slubs, the subtle variation, it is a natural fiber. You don't get that natural look when you're working with a polyester or an acrylic or anything else, really. It's part of the beauty of the fiber is that it's irregular. You're getting different crops every year, so it's a little bit different every time you get it, and there's a natural beauty to it.
Does Schumacher ever work with hemp fibers?
We have not worked with hemp fibers recently, though we do see more and more of it coming out of our European and Indian vendors. We haven't really placed any of it yet in our portfolio, though it's something we're looking into because it also has all of those sustainability aspects that we love. And it's like a low water usage plant, low water washing, weaving But we've been looking into it, but nothing to offer just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
The American hemp industry is maybe more further along than you might think.
Yes, I know. I've been hearing about that. And when I took my course at FIT, I also learned a lot about hemp fiber and how potentially being able to use the same processing as linen and hemp could maybe share processing. And when I was researching the linen, I was like, oh, that could be a great crossover. Maybe linen can be processed in the U.S. a lot easier than we originally thought. I know there's been a lot of government funding and a lot more, I don't know if it's research is the right word, but a lot of interest around the hemp fiber industry in the U.S. And I mean, I think it's a great thing. It would be great to have U.S. fiber. I think that would maybe make the product more lucrative for us as a company if it were made in the U.S. There's a better story to it. It might be a little bit cheaper for us to acquire. And I think it's just about getting it end to end.
Tell me a bit about your involvement with this event today. How is Schumacher sort of supporting the Flax Project here?
Yes, so Schumacher made a donation to PA Flax to sponsor the event, and we also donated all of the fabric that's in the picnic baskets and on the tables from our latest collection called Craft Revival, which has a really kind of folksy, homespun feeling to it, which we really enjoyed working on.
Cool. Well, it is a beautiful event, so thank you for your help here.
Thank you so much.
Bill Schick, hello again. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. So what is this machine we're standing next to?
We are standing next to a 2-row puller from Belgium that we imported last year.
Now, this is for pulling people's legs, or what is this pulling?
It's a puller for fiber flax. So about 2 or 3 weeks after flax starts to flower in the field, the plant will start to yellow from the bottom up as it matures. At that stage of growth, it is really building high-quality fiber in the stem. And this machine pulls it out of the ground and flips it over the back and lays it out in nice, neat, and clean windrows in the field.
Wow, that's cool. And then it can ret in the field.
Yep. So then the flax rets in the field for a week or two, depending on the weather. And then we have another piece of equipment just called a turner, and that scoops up the flax and lays it down on its other side very neatly so that it can ret on the other side. And then everything that we do is ultimately set up to be fed into a baler, and it needs to go very neatly into a bale so that when it goes to a mill, it can unroll and be fed into the mill.
You're doing the big brown bales.
Mm-hmm. Yep, big round bales.
This machine here, does anything like this exist in the U.S. now?
This is probably one of maybe half a dozen in the U.S. that we know of. Another one in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. We believe that they are being imported into Canada at this time as well. There are some people doing similar work in Canada. But as far as we know, this is the only one in the Northeast.
Okay. And so part of your job here at the PA Flax Project is to work with farmers and to get more farmers on board, right? So can you talk a bit about the farmers who are growing your flax this year and then your efforts to bring in more next year?
Yes. The farmers that are growing for us this year are what you would call the early adopter farmers. They are interested in trying something new. They have some acreage that they can spare for a project like this. And it's an experimental crop. This year, we are reimbursing farmers to grow this crop, regardless of it succeeding or not, because we don't want them to take on the financial burden of a crop that is so new or being reintroduced to our area. So we're growing, this 5 acres is here at Pasture Song, which is at the Lundale Farm near Pottstown. Another farm is called Free Flow Farm, north of Pottstown. And then Joe Smucker at Smucker Farm near Birdenhand, PA, is growing 5 acres as well.
Okay. So, when it comes to flax, does the marijuana stigma matter?
No, it does not. And that is actually what has excited some of the university partners that we're working with. We are friends and really appreciate all the industrial hemp research that's been going on for a long time. And what is attractive about flax is that it does not require any of the permits or any of the THC testing that hemp has to go through.
Bill Schick, it's great to see what you're doing up here. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming.
All right, here with Mike Roth. Why don't you introduce yourself, Mike?
Yeah, I'm Michael Roth, Director of Innovation with the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture.
And talk about the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture's involvement in the Flax Project, in flax in general,
Yeah, so I think big picture, the Pennsylvania Department of Ag is very eager to support biomass industries here in Pennsylvania. So whether that's hardwoods, hemp, flax, wherever it may come from, as long as it's supporting Pennsylvania agriculture, we want to continue to support and facilitate the growth of those industries. So here with the PA Flax Project, they were one of our awardees for the PA Specialty Crop Grant Program, which has been helping them with a number of their initiatives. So very happy to actually see this in person, the acres behind us. It's fantastic.
Flax wasn't really a specialty crop until recently, right?
That's correct. We are able to identify strategic crops and opportunities. So we've had hardwoods as specialty crops, hemp, a number of other things as well. So when we saw that there was opportunities to advance flax here in the Commonwealth, we wanted to be supportive of that.
All right. When it comes to flax, does the marijuana stigma matter anymore?
Well, I have to say there's certainly the advantage for flax that you don't have to have an FBI background check. So when we're talking about bast fibers and opportunities in the fiber industry, obviously the barrier to entry is much less. So although I don't want to discount our friends in the hemp space, I think this is an opportunity for us to build that portfolio out. So there is an opportunity. And I think also it might be a good baby step for someone that is thinking about hemp fiber in the future to do something like flax so they get used to handling bast fibers, how they grow, how they operate.
Talk a little bit about other benefits for farmers who might be considering flax.
Yeah, so since flax is not an overly needy crop, it's an opportunity to try something that has a lot of great benefits. It's a shallow rooter, so from that standpoint, it's a little less difficult to manage. But also there's the opportunity to have very beautiful scenic scapes like we have behind us here today, which certainly shouldn't be discounted as we think about things related to, what does a farm look like? How do neighbors look at that farm and how it operates? And then also, as we see behind us, it's 7 acres. And, it seems to me, as we think about these regional approaches, this could be a few acres that a farmer has on marginal land that they want to do flax. So again, just diversifying on-farm income and where farmers can, make a living.
Excellent. Mike Roth, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, could you introduce yourself?
Okay. I'm Rachel Laramie.
And what brings you out here to the flax event today?
I wrote about this for my master's thesis last year, and so I've just been friends with the organization since then.
Tell me about your master's thesis.
It's a journalism project, and so it's a multimedia with the sort of images and writing. And I did a website to put all that together. Yeah.
All right. Tell me about the program you were in.
It was University of South Florida, and the program is Digital Journalism and Design. And so I just chose this for because they were friendly and they had an interesting story, and it was very pretty to take pictures of what they were doing. So, yeah.
Are you an active journalist now?
No, I'm a technical writer.
Cool. All right. Did I hear that you were growing flax at your house?
Yes, I got a square yard plot. They gave me the seeds, and I did very little, and it is growing quite nicely.
When did you plant it?
Mother's Day, which was I guess 3 or 4 weeks ago. I actually can't remember when that is. May sometime.
Okay, sometime in May.
Yeah, sometime in May, which is late. It was late, I think.
It's out of the ground.
Yes, definitely. I don't have flowers yet, but it's probably about 7 inches, maybe.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And you would do it again?
Absolutely, yes. I would do more. I'm interested in the soil remediation aspect of it because I'm in the city, and so the dirt is kind of full of bad things. So I could pull some heavy metals out while I'm at it.
Do you write about soil?
I don't now. No, I don't. I'm interested in sort of sustainability and social justice, but I'm interested in the kind of just the way this organization is run is really inspiring to me. And the connection between the agriculture and the city is bringing these two communities together. I think is really important for us to understand about sustainability.
Are you looking for any freelance work?
Yeah, maybe. Sure.
We'll talk.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Rachel, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Leslie, could you introduce yourself?
Leslie Davidson. I'm one of the co-founders of Pennsylvania Fiber Shed.
All right, and briefly describe what the Pennsylvania Fiber Shed is.
Pennsylvania Fiber Shed is a nonprofit organization connecting the fiber through fashion and textile communities in Pennsylvania to build a more equitable, sustainable, and circular economy and industry for our world.
Yeah, well, we need that.
Yeah.
And that sort of makes total sense that you're here today because we're at this flax picnic. And how do you see the Fibershed and the Flax Project working together?
So we work together a lot. We are actually contracted on their USDA grant. So we help with producer outreach and connecting different parts of the supply chain, finding people that will agree to be using this fiber once it's ready to be used, and really just keeping it in the conversation. And you know, we see ourselves as connectors, so it's really important to be here and connecting with others that are working on this.
How about your own work with fibers? Are you a fiber artist, or tell me about your work in fiber?
I don't work in fiber, but I do have a background in fashion design, so that's how I got into this, and sustainability, and it's something that I really love and enjoy.
All right. Leslie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So could you introduce yourself for me, please?
My name is Paul Turner. I'm the chair of the Department of Theater and Dance at Rowan University.
Excellent. Okay.
I know they get some interesting people here, don't they? They really do, which is, I think it's been the strength of knowing this project and these people and the history of it, of how they bring people together. And I think that that's been at the core. And, you know, I was listening earlier when they were talking about how, you know, inclusion and equity, and I think it's like, and I think they know that they achieve that through diversity, and I think it's through planting, the people engaged in and it's magical. And I've never, it's never been my thing, but I'm like, I've learned so much, and even down to that flax plant starts up this adorable blue plant. I just can't wait I wish that they were bloom today, but Emma says she's going to send me some.
There's a few blooms out there, but yeah, but at one point it'll be.
I can see them, and it's like, oh, it's teasing us. I can't wait, because I saw the first patch built, that was planted on the farm, and I saw that from baby to growth, through them harvesting it and everything, and now look at this, and even thinking, I believe it can happen. I think they're going to do it. Absolutely. They build reasonable benchmarks, and they achieve it. I respect it. I really do. I respect it.
Excellent. So how are you connected? How did you end up here?
Heidi Barr and I have been friends since 1994. This was when her first incarnation to me was a costume designer. And then that went into her own business, and I've just been following along because it's a very interesting story, and it's always connected to design and beauty. She teaches me some great values of new art, no waste. New art should not create more waste. And I'm proud of it, and knowing her and how it's gotten me closer to nature, and reminding us that we're connected. It wasn't that I wasn't far, I just didn't know how much I was connected to it. Yeah, so that I just learned a lot. So Heidi Barr, that's my friend. My good friend. Smart friend. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. The Pennsylvania Flax Project. They are on to something amazing. You can learn more about the PA Flax Project at paflaxproject.org. So check them out. I'm sure there are ways to support their efforts. So if you can support what they're doing, please go check them out. And, they're looking for farmers and probably financial support and definitely moral support. So, all right, Pennsylvania Flax Project. I am super proud of what they're doing, and I'm proud that I know them, and I'm just, proud to be from Pennsylvania. Anyway, moving from Pennsylvania to North Carolina now. We are about to talk to Dr. David Suchoff from NC State. We're going to hear what he's got in store for us at the Global Hemp Fiber Summit in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it's less than 2 weeks now. So, all right, here we go. Dr. David Suchoff, researcher and educator at NC State in the Department of Crop and Soil Sciences, specialist in alternative crops such as hemp, and the director of the FAR Hemp Research Consortium, a public-private partnership between NC State, Cornell University in Kentucky, and a bunch of other industry stakeholders. Welcome back to the Hemp Show. How are you doing?
I'm great, Eric. Thank you for having me back.
The last time I saw you in person was in the airport in Great Falls. You and Dr. Anjali Kumar chipped in and bought me a chicken sandwich. It was my birthday. It was so great. So thank you for that. It was wonderful. I will never forget it. So,
well, I hope so. I hope it was the best chicken sandwich of your life.
It pretty much was, yeah. Anyway, so I invited you here today because of the Global Hemp Fiber Summit. I don't know if I had those words in the right order, but the Global Hemp Summit that's coming up in North Carolina in a few weeks. And you are just an integral part of this. And so I wanted to check in with you and get your take on everything and, let our audience know what else is happening down there.
Yeah, so we're really excited for this event. This is kind of the first of its kind. I mean, we've done similar events in the past, which we've called Evolving Textiles, but we're really building off of that as well as kind of working with IND and taking a little bit of their ideas from their annual summit and translating it over here.
IND Hemp out in Montana.
Yes, IND Hemp, yeah. And really the goal of this event is to bring all of the stakeholders together and focus on this holistically. So really starting from seed to shirt or yarn or really whatever you want to focus on. And so we've got a full day of talks. We're going to do a field visit to come, out and look at some of the research that my students are doing. We're going to visit with a decorticator at Biofill. And then, we're going to have a number of other activities. So it's shaping up to be a really, really phenomenal event.
All right, so it's in Raleigh. I've been to Raleigh once. I was there in September of 2021 for, I guess, what was called the Southern Hemp Expo back then. So describe where NC State is, in relation to downtown Raleigh, and tell us a little bit about what we can expect in North Carolina.
Sure. So, NC State is located in Raleigh. It's, our state's capital, and maybe a 5 to 10 minute drive to downtown Raleigh, if that. And Raleigh is one of those places that just continues to evolve and expand and become one of those hot destinations, right? Everybody seems to want to move to North Carolina, and they want to move to the Triangle for a number of reasons. And I like to think that NC State is one of those reasons. But the event itself is going to be in our College of Textiles, which I'm really excited for, because part of the event will also include a tour of the College of Textiles. And the College of Textiles, even though I'm in the College of Ag and Life Sciences, I always brag on the College of Textiles because I just find what they do so fascinating. And I've gone on this tour at the college many, many times now, and each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm continually excited and fascinated by it. And so I'm really, excited for all of these folks who've never experienced the College of Textiles to see it for the first time. I think they're equally going to be really blown away by it.
That's exciting. Yeah. And then tell me about Lumberton. I've been hearing, I talked to Jason Finnis from Bass Fiber Tech a couple weeks ago, and then talking to Guy Carpenter, last month. It sounds like Lumberton is where there's sort of a hemp hub growing. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So, Lumberton's about an hour and 40 minutes southeast of Raleigh. So it's a bit of a drive, but it has kind of become this hemp hub, as you said. So we've got Biofill Natural Fibers there, which we're going to visit during the summit. And this is David Camby's operation, and it is a hemp decorticator and processor. I visited David's facility in January, and it was just about operational. It's really, really exciting to see that facility, and it's very easy to see where he's going with it. And so once again, glad that folks are going to be able to join and see that. Unfortunately, we won't be able to visit Bass Fiber Tech, which is, Jason Finnis. Jason will be speaking at the event though, but Bass Fiber Tech is a wet processor or a finisher. So they do degumming and another, number of other things with not only fiber hemp, but cotton and other fibers. And so, all within this one town, you now have a large decorticator and a large wet processor. And so it's really putting Lumberton on the map.
Yeah, and all of this fiber stuff kind of harmonizes with the history of North Carolina, right? Can you talk a bit about where North Carolina sort of sat historically in textiles in the U.S. and in the world?
Yeah. Well, I mean, agriculture has always been incredibly important in our number one industry, but right behind that has been textiles. Textiles has really been integral to the history of our state. Admittedly, there's been a lot of offshoring of that textile industry from our state, so it's not what it once was, but it still is quite vibrant. I was looking at the statistics recently, and last year generated $1.4 billion in sales. Our state, we employ about a quarter of all of the textile employees in the country, and we have roughly 400 textile manufacturers, and these range right from super small mom and pop to very large yarn spinners and other brands and whatnot. And what I find exciting is that many of these textile companies are either already incorporating or interested in incorporating fiber hemp into their product line, right? And so when you think about the agriculture that we have here, when you think about biofill and Bass Fiber Tech, and then these textile companies, you start to see these circular economies developing around fiber hemp, which I think your listeners, as well as anyone that's really enthusiastic about hemp and fiber hemp, get quite excited by.
Yeah, and the Northeast sort of has, maybe not complete infrastructure left over, but more infrastructure for textiles than, other places. So it makes sense that, like the phoenix, rising up out of the ashes. Here comes North Carolina in the fiber space. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, and if I may, one other thing I might add to that is one of our sponsors is the NSF Textile Innovation Engine, which is this new, very, very large, very complicated engine. And the whole idea of this innovation engine is really to help bring back some of that industry, but also make sure that it's accelerating innovation and sustainability in it, so that, like you said, this phoenix rising from the ashes, we're making sure that we're doing it in a sustainable way and that it's innovative and that fiber hemp is playing a key role in that.
Yeah, cool. All right, so there's a lot to celebrate in North Carolina in a couple of weeks in Raleigh, and I'll be there. I hope everyone's there, right? Like, come on down, everybody.
Please come down.
Yeah, but there is a cap. We can't have millions of people, but David Suchoff, is there anything else you would like to share with us about the event?
No, I mean, outside of that, tickets are limited, and we're certainly getting very close to that cap. So if you've not registered and you want to join, please do so soon. It really is going to be a global event. So yes, we're going to have speakers from the US, but we also have speakers coming in from other countries, and really with the intention of learning from their experiences and seeing what we can do to either complement what's being done in other countries or innovate and change, but really just trying to get a good grasp of where the industry is, and then what are some of those key areas that we need to focus on to push forward to really accelerate fiber hemp in the United States. So we're really looking forward to it. We're looking forward to having as many folks as there as possible, and looking forward to having you there, Eric.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to be there. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks in Raleigh. Awesome. Thank you, Dr. David Suchoff from NC State. All right, there you go, Dr. David Suchoff. And it's been a few days since I recorded that interview, and since then, the event has filled up, right? So I think there is a waiting list. If you haven't registered by now, you're just going to have to live vicariously through my podcast, because I will be there. I will be covering it. I will try to find the most important, most relevant things for us to talk about on the show, okay? I hope to meet lots of great people and reconnect with a lot of old friends, because, yeah, these hemp events, they kind of feel like family reunions sometimes. So I'm looking forward to getting back together with everybody. Okay, that does it for the show today. Thank you for listening. My name is Eric Herlock. I am the senior digital editor at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. But don't just take my word for it. Check us out online. Get a subscription to our digital edition or our print edition. You will be astounded by the level of newspapering we do over here. You thought newspapers were a thing of the past? Nope, not Lancaster Farming. We are a thing of the past, the present, and the future. So check us out, lancasterfarming.com. Wow, that's a lot. I've had a lot of caffeine today. Anyway, if you want to get in touch with me, send an email. You can send it to podcast@lancasterfarming.com. And if you have sent me an email already and you're like, hey, where's my response? Hang in there with me. Hang in there with me. Until next time, I will see you in the newspaper. This episode of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast is copyright 2025 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. This show was written and recorded by Eric Herlock and mixed and engineered and mastered by Justin Berger.